If you are new to this channel, please subscribe and don't forget to like and comment. Today's first story, my grandma tried to ruin my brother's wedding. My brother's wedding was 2 years ago, but this still pisses me off every time it comes to mind. My grandmother is rather histrionic. If she isn't the center of attention, she will make herself the center of attention. So it was my brother's wedding, and I was his best man. I have a tiny car and needed to be at the wedding venue early, and my grandma was going to be picked up by my parents later. She wasn't anywhere near ready and I needed to leave, so I assumed all was well at this point. We set everything up at the venue and took photos and got ready for the ceremony, and finally my parents arrived with my grandma in tow. She was already pissed and causing a scene because I had abandoned her when I left for the venue. We managed to calm her down, but I could see my brother was already getting disappointed with the situation. He just wanted everything to go right, and he is too nice to say anything to our grandma. Things went okay for a while until we were seating her in the chapel and she wasn't getting to sit with my mom and dad at the very front where the parents of the bride and groom had the place of honor. Once more she made a big scene until she was moved to the front next to my parents. My brother was red with embarrassment as everyone from both families had pretty much filed into the chapel. Once more things calmed back down once she had her way. The last straw was at the reception. Everyone was eating and having a good time. I was going around checking on the tables to make sure everything was going well and people were being taken care of, and then I get to my grandma's table. I don't remember exactly what she said as I kind of lost it at that point, and it was 2+ years ago, but it was something like, "Why is this taking so long? If they aren't going to get the reception moving along, I need you to take me home." I replied with something like, "I still have to give a best man speech in a while, and you aren't going to be asking mom and dad to take you back." Then she said the words. She said this to me growing up anytime I said anything about school or something I had learned or disagreed about, and it basically instantly triggers me. "Don't you get smart with me, you little shit." I saw red and I said something to get her to come outside the venue. Then I got vicious. I didn't yell because I didn't want to draw attention to the situation, but anyone within line of sight would easily know I was effing pissed. I told her something along the lines of, "You need to sit down and shut the F up. This is my brother's wedding. He still believes you are this amazing person that he wants in his life, but I've seen through to the vile bitch you are 4 years now. You mistreat and abuse my mom, and you are trying to do the same shit to my brother now. Your bullshit will never fly with me. I know what you are, and if you don't get back in there and pretend that you are having a great time, you will have nothing to do with my life." She got all pissy. "And how dare you talk to your elders like that?" I handed her the keys to my car and told her she could leave if she absolutely couldn't stand the reception, but if she did, she would never be invited to be a part of anything in my life. Not my wedding, not my graduation, not even to see any grandchildren I may have in the future. You will be lucky if you see me again before you die. Apparently she either didn't care or thought I was bluffing because she left. I haven't seen her since. My choice. She complains to my mom that I don't talk to her. I specifically sent her what looked like an invitation that told her that she wasn't invited to my wedding. Then she wasn't invited to my graduation, and after learning about the racist comments she made about me, Caucasian, and my Asian wife, and how it was good we hadn't had any children yet because the world doesn't need any more Asian babies. I effing hate her guts. I'd like to say some part of me still loves her, but after everything I can't stand even the thought of her. If there was any chance I could forgive her for how she tried to ruin my brother's wedding, her racist bullshit pretty much solidified my determination that she would never meet her grandchildren, and that I'm not even sure I would be willing to visit her on her deathbed. I don't know if I overreacted or if I'm a bad person for responding like this, but I watched for 18 years as she emotionally abused my mom over and over again, and my dad by proxy. She had always doted on me and my brother, but when she acted like that at my brother's wedding, all of that came boiling to the surface and I tore into her. Edit. A lot of people are asking if my brother has seen the light, and the answer is kind of. But he is a lot nicer / more gullible than me and writes her shit off as it's just how she is, but she's family. My grandma took great effort when we were growing up to let us know that blood is thicker than water, that your friends will always leave, but your family will always be there. I never bought into it because my friends were always more supportive and reliable than my family. My brother did buy into it. Edit. My car was fine. That thought never crossed my mind as a possibility. My grandma is terrified of car wrecks due to a wreck in her youth that pretty seriously messed her up. Also, I probably assumed that she was aware that I wouldn't hesitate to call the police on her for anything like that. That's the end of first story. If you guys not subscribed yet, please subscribe. Let's start the second one. Entitled parents think they are entitled to their adult daughter's medical records to help them slut shame her. In healthcare, one of the most difficult things to deal with are family members of patients. They are understandably angry, upset, grieving, devastated, and often feel helpless. Most of the time I try to understand this and not get too annoyed when family cause problems. But these parents were on another level. One of my patients was an 18-year-old woman who had a pelvic infection. She got very sick, required a moderate stay in hospital. She was a dream patient, open, honest, and generally a lovely person. Her parents were none of these things. Every day they would come in and start demanding this, that, or the other thing from the nurses on the wards. They wanted an extra bed in the room so the mother could stay overnight. Honestly, it's covered times. You're lucky you're even allowed to visit. In many places no visitors are allowed. You can't stay overnight. They were rude to the student nurse who was doing their daughter's obs, to the point that the charge nurse moved the student nurse to a different set of patients to get her away from them. But when the doctors were around, they were the sweetest people you ever met, right up until we were out of sight or we said no to one of their requests. They were disruptive, loud, and just generally obnoxious people. Thankfully, their daughter was aware of their shitty behavior and had informed us that she didn't want them to be told anything about her condition unless she approved it. She was a legal adult, so she was entitled to her privacy. This wasn't a huge issue to begin with, as she shared most of the details with them. But then her mother googled pelvic infections and discovered that sometimes they can be caused by SUALLY transmitted infections *DRAMATIC music INTENSIFIES*. As far as she was then concerned, we had screwed up and gotten the diagnosis wrong, because there was no way there was any possibility that her angel had even thought of having sex with a boy. They demanded to see their daughter's medical records so they could prove that we were lying about the infection. Politely telling them to F off was the highlight of my week. Unfortunately, that wasn't the end of it. They came in the next day with legal papers trying to demand we hand over the medical records. Turns out they'd lied to the lawyer because the papers were for a minor still under guardianship of the parents, not a grown-up woman. They then threatened to sue each of us individually. This isn't America, you can't just sue doctors randomly. They then tried to get some crackpot alternative doctor in to check her hymen. Thankfully, the daughter screamed bloody murder when the guy tried to examine her, which resulted in me getting to watch security escort and trespass the lot of them off the premises. I honestly hope she presses charge for that. Edited for spelling. Edit 2. Thank you to all you wholesome people having such an open and honest discussion about women's bodies in the comments. This wasn't intended as a body positive post, but I'm happy it turned into one.